Hi, everyone, and hope you're having an amazing day. I'll start this show off a little bit different by doing this. You are so beautiful to me. There we go. Hey, Mike, Michelle, Dale, hey, you guys. Um, I'll get right into it. And for anyone just tuning in, catch my little bit of my singing on the first part of it. Anyhow, do as you please. Okay, we got some updates. So recently, we were doing a huge exercise on bringing in the quantum financial system and also what I am terming as a divine financial system. So the acronyms are QFS and DFS. Uh, there is a difference between the two. The QFS basically is, uh, let's say, a program that's been energized for a while, and more of the light communities are energizing that to bring that to be as well. And any of these things like the QFS, RVs, and the divine financial system as well, they're all to serve and assist humanity, but also the light workers upon the surface. And it's very important. And what I see sometimes within the RV communities, when they speak about, the redemption of their Zim bonds or what have you, and redemption of currencies that were undervalued, when this reset occurs, when all monies are par to each other, there are those little aspects of ones will, for instance, I saw a comment the other day, someone just saying, when they redeem the funds about their dream homes, if that stuff is elaborate, what occurs is these ones that are in there, these are kind of like greed aspects, and it does devalue and it prevents these things from coming more into fruition. So, just an observation for any of you that are in the RV groups, um, out of the fullest faith and the good for all, always promote that is what I suggest. And it's not a selfish thing to be involved in these RVs. And it's so important that it's understood that these are only temporary things to take humanity out of the requirement for money and to eradicate the disparity of wealth. So it's very important to keep this in mind as we keep going forward as well. With our recent work at energizing the World Financial Center, mainly New York, that was the top World Financial Center, what was designated as of several days ago again. By doing that, you integrate the 5D grid and your energy to piggyback along that system. And you only really need to do the top uh, financial area like New York, and it goes globally. Now, however, saying that, what I do anticipate in the futures, we'll watch what occurs with our recent exercise and look for some confirmations. And these confirmations usually, as you know, you don't see these in the news or publicly, because what we're doing is uh, creating another layer of the financial system that is energetic and that is accessible to you, but it rides with the other system. And as I've said before, in previous interviews, I know I did mention in one interview with Linda Summers, how we do actually control the money, and we can flood the entire system with money if it is not evolved. And we are creators, and we can create money out of thin air if that's what it takes. And we can do that, but you do it yourself by manifesting at times, when things appear in your accounts, that comes out of nowhere. And that takes me here into the next point I have written down. A few months ago, we were rising very quickly in vibration, a lot of magic occurring, and we were integrating all of the essentials for the 5D. And among the confirmations and indications at that time were that some were beginning to magically receive small amounts of money in their accounts out of nowhere. It was very few that this occurred with, to my knowledge. It might have been a lot more widespread, but at least, I've seen a few, and some with credit card purchases that the purchases never appeared, on their cards. So blatant examples that it's not glitches and whatever the human logic would cover it. We very well know our prowess and our abilities and capabilities in that respect. So having said that, I was very pleased because I did not know, but Pamela Johnson made a comment on one of those posts the other day, that she had knew of perhaps a half a dozen that had began receiving miraculous funds, and she used the term some hefty amounts. Now, that's not identifying how much they received, but I love that adjective or descriptive whatever you would call it in grammar, but the word hefty. Now, that sounds great. So I love seeing that, and I did not ask Pamela for an example of the hefty, how much it was, but I was very grateful to see that. So, the reason I'm bringing this up, we know it's real, and that you can access it. Now, however, not all are accessing it yet, but hopefully, again, with each exercise that we do, that it strengthens it so that we can, and we will, for whatever light worker purposes that we may need it for. So that is great. As I read the comments when I put that exercise out, I loved pretty well all of the comments up to the other day, and on that exercise. And once I got down there about a third of the way on the comments, I began to energetically pick up on a few powerful, and I believe they were feminine, that I could pick up on their energy and their emotion. The tears started to come from my eyes, tears of joy, because they want this so bad. And it's not only that, it's from the good of their hearts, from the good of our hearts. And it was so gratifying to see the amount of prowess and emotion that was put into our exercises. And I just wish to share that with you. If you were some that commented, hey, I felt you. I'm a powerful empath, and I feel all things here in this physical form for what I do. And it was just so gratifying to feel that sincerity at assisting humanity as a whole. And what I will say, you don't feel that sincerity in any of your politicians that more or less I have seen. Trump is doing a great job, and there are times that I could feel Trump, but not to the extreme that I'm feeling some of you, which is, it's very gratifying and impressive to see and feel. And again, with this whole ascension, uh, we experience and we see it and we feel it. We know it's true. There is no refuting nor denying the experiences. And but with others that out in your mundane, your 4D world, if they don't feel and don't see it and don't experience it, then they don't know that it actually exists. So they need something profound. But there are many reasons for this, and what I just put out in a post, again, saying that not everyone is going. You have a mundane world here, which is, and it's here on purpose. There is a veil intact, and that is on purpose to secure the human experience. And there are ones that are not going forward where you are going. And we have respect for that, and our love and our understanding. And I suggest, don't ever get distracted by trying to beat someone on the head with a hammer to wake them up. You're only exerting energy. Anyone that is to be awakened, that needs assistance from you, will come. You put yourself out there as a beacon, and they will come if they need to, and if it's part of that little thing like your soul contract. Um, so, again, it was a very great. Over the Manhattan sky, last evening, there was witnessed a sort of a grid work of energy that was coming down, that was taking place. It was very close, and it was given as an indication and a confirmation that we could say that the 5D grid, financial grid aspect of it, was being locked in there into that center. And also a day or two before that, there were very lengthy rays of rainbow colors. They were not circular like the rainbow. They were long linear rays coming into that same area of several colors of the rainbow. So that was in preparation before we began the exercise. So it's actual confirmations of that and indications, that it's being energized, that the energy is very real, as we know, and let's see what comes out of this. So very great, and never doubt your abilities, even though it seems they don't work. There's that overriding divine plan that if you do something and it doesn't seem like it works, or you have effects, that's just because divinity says no, not at this time. That does not mean your prowess doesn't work. Your prowess always works. There's just the divine plan that will overrule it if it's not allowed to come into existence at this time. So do not ever be wavered in your trust and belief in yourself and your prowess. You remain adamant, you know what you are, and you continue doing it from the surface. You're just not allowed to have all of the information while you are here in human form on the surface at this time. So again, always trust your internal guides and your connection with God, Creator, and your spiritual guides, whatever you may call that etheric connection. Always trust that, and it is very real, as we know. Snowy egrets and white doves. I'm seeing amazingly, in the last several days. One's mentioning them on various chats that I look at and in comments. Yes, very symbolic, and for the ones seeing these, you know what it means. Good signs of abundance, which is great, and much more. Also, the purity of the energy around those areas. For example, if you see a snowy egret, it brings with it a certain degree of divine purity as well. So very, very symbolic. And I will say I'm so grateful to see many accounts of that at this time as well. Now, I put a post out when I was called to go outside the other evening, and what a beautiful, it was dark, but the underside I could see of the huge bird going over. It resembled a snowy egret. However, when I checked a photo of a dove, it actually was the formation of a dove, but it was a huge dove. Doves are usually like a pigeon, but the size of this was perhaps close to the size of a large hawk or even an eagle. It was very big, and that was also the indication and a confirmation, a sign for us to take energizing the QFS, DFS forward as well. It was an unmistakable sign in that respect. So again, I got wrote down here, all do not see all things yet. So again, I just touched on that a bit ago, and they don't. And as I said, some are not supposed to see it. So again, I suggest don't waste your time on trying to awake or assist someone that is rejecting you. It's so important you keep empowering yourself and getting your memory back of what you are and strengthening your own powers. You're much more effective that way. That's great. Very warm in here. So a possible CME, an influx of light. I just put that out, and Pamela put it out earlier. So there was a magnetic CME. I was given the information, I believe, yesterday or a day or 2 days ago about a magnetic filament that did collapse, and however, I didn't put it out for various reasons. However, it is confirmed again today with the CME, and it's possible, it's on its way, but let me say it's not possible, or not. Let me say that it is coming. That they're saying it's possible. I'm saying no, it is, and it's already here, energizing things. So it is a reality, and partially right now, the way I'm looking at it is also let's say it's looking like it's the light required to, quote, seal the deal, quote, with our QFS, DFS exercise. And we required that light energetically to come in to assist. So again, a very good sign, and let's see what occurs with this. And also, we have QFS and we have DFS, but what I would term a little bit different is your own individual divine financial flow that you also can create. And it doesn't have to be monetary. Let's say if you have no money and you do require a bit of food, you just put your intent out for the food. You don't need to get the money and then go get the food. It's much more easier for you just to energize what you want and manifest that. For example, if you need a bicycle, instead of trying to manifest money, you may be more efficient at just trying to manifest the bicycle. And then, you may find one junked somewhere, that will suffice. Or you might have a friend or a family member call you up and say, hey, I got this bicycle. Do you Do you want it? I'm giving it away. So, it's much more effective to do it that way. And, you override the money, and you make sort of an energetic divine barter as well. Those work great. Whatever you need to do to break the controls of money, it's so important. So you are not restricted nor controlled by money when you use your manifestations to materialize and create the things you need. Then you can bypass that money, and then you're not totally reliant nor dependent upon money. And part of the reason why we are all here is to break that control of money. And again, however, we're in the transitory timelines and levels with doing that. And until we are in the place where we are free of that full control of money, and where money's no required, there are still tricks of the divine trade, if you will, to accommodate you while you're getting there. So you don't only have, one possible option that we can create here. You now have several, and trust that, and always trust your prowess again in manifesting. Just because you may attempt to manifest something one time and it doesn't work, don't give up, because there are divine reasons. You may not, if you wanted to manifest a bike and it didn't appear, well, that may not be part of your contribution to the divine plan. Never give up. Never give up. Your powers are real. They are very strong. The more you believe in them, the more you trust in them, and the more you practice them, the stronger they do become. And it's always great to do that. And at enhanced periods from the sun, when you have a lot of energetics, again, like today, that started to come in from CMEs, these are also light. And this light empowers the energy for you to make your manifestations occur. So when you see periods where you have light emissions from the sun, those are the most opportune times to create. So just to let you know that. And it is important to watch activity on the sun if you choose, because then it gives you your own individual idea of, is the energy now heightened? Is it a great time for me to manifest? And if it's not heightened, those are times when you have, let's say, what we call solar wind coming from a coronal hole. Those serve different purposes, and that's not a great time to try to manifest, because that type of energy is being applied for other things. It's really not a manifestation energy when you have that sort of energy being applied. But anything that you see in the line of solar flares, CMEs, hydro flares, any of that, those is light being given to you, significant light. Many more Merkabas, Kundalinis are being activated as a result of, over the last perhaps even month, but more so it's going to keep increasing, and it is. And with this, everything you've been taught in the past and knew about twin flame relationships, the energies, that you are going to be constantly given new knowledge on this. And what's going to be occurring is those of you, any of you in, divine unions of the utmost degree, you will be having experiences that are outside of the human conscious norm. Now, it's important to pay attention and observe these when you're in divine union, and keep a sort of a record with it, but share it with others. It's important you share these new things with others, because what you're doing when you begin to share, you are also beginning to compile an instruction manual on it that makes it easier for the ones that will be coming along behind you, but also the ones that are experiencing it now. So it's so important, as the unity and the sharing, as you know, is so important. So there are currently things occurring in that respect, and there is also going to be more. So because we are forever creating that and integrating it into the present timelines. And having said that, again, this nothing was written about this. We are writing it now through experience. So it's so important. And what I suggest with this, where we go into the deepest truths, meaning there are things that from a human society that you were told not to speak about. With this, what's the opposite? To build it and to integrate it, it's important to speak about it. So just to let you know that as well, but most of you know that, just reiterating. So whatever I say and write, again, I wish to reiterate, it's all free for any of you to share and to even dictate it. That doesn't matter. There are no restrictions on what I put out. So again, you can quote anything I say, dictate anything I say, copy anything I say, copyrights and sort of rights in that respect. It does not matter. What matters is that we assist the whole, and I don't put any restrictions on that. It's so important to get the information out, and we don't let money or foolish copyright laws restrict us. That is absolutely ridiculous. So anyone can share freely what I write, what I say, and what I do. As you know, most of you at least know that I'm totally open, and sometimes I will say things that, might see someone go, ooh, but, these are truths, and we need to get it out, and it can't be suppressed in these most amazing times where so many are growing so very quickly and new things are occurring. So don't hold back. Don't have any reserves in that. Got wrote down with Facebook upgrading. I put a post out a few days ago, and I just wish to touch on this a little bit more. As you need to know, again, that I'll reiterate, that actually social media sites like Facebook and even the monetary system do not control you. You actually control them. And you control them in a way where you're able to direct it for the good of all. So in these cases where Facebook is, one of the most widely used social media sites at this time for many Ascension teachers and many spiritual ones, we can do things and put our input there to fix it up. There are things that ones were saying where Facebook is censoring things and what's against you. Yeah, that's true. However, you can overpower that with your energy, and something that you're doing good is divinely supported by an energy that is much bigger than Facebook or this world. So don't forget that. You're part of that energy, and don't let anything suppress nor restrict you. So I see things with Facebook that I'm able to put in, some requests and comments to make things easier for us, and in the lines of this ascension, and do it. Utilize your prowess. It's important to do that. That's how you create change here. If you want to leave behind a very good Facebook community for spiritual others to interact with, well, you have great ideas. Put that in there. Give it to them. Tell them, hey, let's make this better. And the ease of access to things with our lives, with our private messages, build it. You are creators. You can create Facebook to be the way you wish. You can create it also to be totally good. If you think it's totally dark, that will occur. So it's best to think it's good and to know it's good and to utilize your energy in making it the best you can make it. So again, don't forget, you are creators, and you manifest. And that takes me here into the next thing. We are in a huge, heightened manifestation time. And it's very important where your thoughts are. If your thoughts are on thinking negative about someone or a situation, you're going to amplify that at this time, because the energy that supports your manifestation is amplified at this time. It's heightened because so many of you and us are creators, that we are creating the new timelines, and that's why the energy is there. So it's very important to just keep your thoughts positive. Instead of creating a negative out of a situation, look at it how you can create a positive out of it, and just ignore the negative density part of it and turn everything into light in that respect. So now with so manifestation periods where they are high for the light, when it's amplified, where meaning you can manifest more efficiently and quicker. The opposite is also true for the dark or any resistance. If they attempt at these highlighted times for you to try to distort or create, they implode much quicker, much more rapidly. So it takes them right out of the picture. Now, it is cyclical, but it's an upward spiral with this ascension. So you had periods of high where you're manifesting very high, and you also are learning and getting a lot of your memory back. Then you dip down a bit to make change there. So you don't forget what you learned up here, and you make the change. And then the next cycle loop is higher, because you're forever evolving upward and creating something much better. So this world is not as it seems. You know that it's only just one reality of many that you have access to. However, you are here for a reason, a purpose, and a mission. And I suggest just go with that and trust.